Hi. Oh, hi. How is everyone? Good. I'm glad to be here. I'm Michael Tatlock. As I said before, I am one of the newest practitioners here at CSL Granada Hills. I am really happy to be here. I've only been here about a month, but it feels like home already, which is great. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I first became a practitioner in 2019 at SpiritWorks, Center for Spiritual Living. My teacher for all my first year practitioner class and all the other classes that I had to cram in to become a practitioner is sitting right here, Reverend Tricia Klink. And so from there, COVID hit, and unfortunately, SpiritWorks shut down. And so my husband and I sort of went, oh, well, what are we going to do? And he had a health issue, and so we decided, we're going to move. We're going to move up to Bellingham, Washington, because we had friends up there, and it's so nice and beautiful, and we'd only visited there during the summer, where it's really nice and beautiful. And then we figured out, it's gray 9 months out of the year, and it rains a lot. So we survived 3 years, and then we moved back down here. So we've just been here. It will actually be like 6 months next March, on March 9th. And oddly enough, that is the day that we're moving into our brand new house that we just signed the papers on. So I'm 10 minutes away, and so hopefully nobody will be blocking my driveway like they did this morning, and I won't be, the non-Christian man that was screaming at somebody at like 8:05 in the morning. But I'm also a professional actor, so I have a tongue. So the monthly theme that we're looking at this month is embracing the edge. And the weekly theme this week is on the edge of the possible. So I sort of played around with that idea about what does that all mean? The edge of the possible, on the edge of the possible. And I came up with the idea, spiritual audacity. Because right now you're in this empty space, this great empty space that has been created by, the fabulous Reverend Mike retiring. And so it's sort of like, what's next? What do I want to create next? So let me ask you this question. What would be possible if we really believed that anything is possible? What would it be? You're at that point. You're at the edge. You're ready to go ahead and say, I'm going to step forward. But we do that all the time ourselves, individually. But now you're being asked collectively to come together and create something new for your next senior minister, whatever that's going to be, whoever that's going to be. And there's probably a lot of angst and fear and anxiety and grieving, all the emotions that are there. And those are all true and perfect to be having in this moment, because that's what you have to do. I recently went through another senior minister search up at CSL Bellingham. I joked with Wayne that I was probably the angel of death, because every time I go, I always have to be participating in a new minister search. I don't know what it is about me, but oh well. But there's always this feeling that you have to fill the void. I need to fill it with something. Am I going to be angry? Am I going to be, fearful? What am I going to be? And I ask you to go ahead and embrace this conscious pause that you've got, this moment of openness where everything is possible. And the joyous part of this process is you all get to create what's next as a collective, as a community. So What would be possible if we really believed that anything is possible? So, the wonderful, maybe I do that. So Rumi, one of my favorite philosophers, as you start to walk in the way appears, right? So you're starting this journey forward. You're starting this journey about whatever is possible, and you don't know what's possible. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it going to be fun? Well, I hope so, because I really do like having fun. So Ernest Holmes talks about faith meeting action. You're stepping off into faith. That whole idea of Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, when he's searching for the what is it? Oh, the Holy Grail. And there's this big chasm that he has to cross, and he doesn't know what it's going to be. And so he quotes a biblical quote, which I cannot remember at this present time, and he just steps off into the void, and what appears? A pathway. That's where you all are. And Ernest Holmes says faith meets action. He took the faith, that leap of faith, to step off into the unknown. And in faith, it requires action. Howard Thurman says, we often seek measures that bring quick and temporary relief, but do not have much effect on the situations themselves. That's that whole idea of we want to fill whatever we feel that's making us feel uncomfortable, right? So what happens? What do you do? Well, you pause, you go inside, and you listen to that place where the still small voice resides. And you let it reveal what the answer is for your next step. And so as a collective, as a community, that's what you get to do now. You get to take that pause, and you get to come together as a community, and you get to listen to that still small voice inside and take the next step as the community. What you're doing is you're doing preparation, because preparation precedes manifestation. What is mine to do? It's a great question. Reverend Cliff Rubin taught me that one. Well, you did too. But, what is mine to do? Is this mine to do? I always ask that, even when I'm yelling at somebody who's parked in my driveway. Is this mine to do? It was pretty clear it was mine to do. So sometimes we get into outrage fatigue, which I probably was this morning, because we're reacting to what is wrong or missing, and it exhausts us. It wears us down, and we're trying to fill that donut hole inside with something. Whereas if you just take the pause and you just allow Spirit to fill that donut hole, the next step is obvious. So we're going to define our terms now. Spiritual audacity, the willingness to imagine something bigger than our personal comfort. So you've heard the old term, when one door closes, another door opens. Did anybody tell you about the hallway in between? Because there's a hallway in between. And that hallway is not a straight line. It's curved. And you can't see what's around the corner. But you have to trust. You have to have faith to continue walking down that corner. So, where are you all now as a collective here? You're in this hallway. The door is closed. Reverend Mike is finishing up. He's cleaning up everything, and he's moving on. And he's got his own hallway that he's entered. And you all have your own hallway that you've entered. So what is it that you want to create? Ernest Holmes says, faith without works is dead. So you have to go inside and know that you're going to be fine. You're going to be taken care of. You're okay. You guys are really okay. Because you really have this wonderful, loving community that I've experienced just in the brief month that I've been here. And you're primed for the next step. You're in the hallway. You're primed. You're going to be led. You have a ton of ministers. You have a ton of practitioners. And you have yourselves that you get to depend on and rely on. But in this conscious pause, I'm going to give you a little story. It's called The Master Weaver's Silence. There once was a community that housed a magnificent ancient tapestry that began to unravel. Panicked by the hole in their history, the town people rushed to find anyone with a needle to patch it up quickly. They found a master weaver. But instead of sewing, the weaver sat before the tapestry for 7 days, simply looking at it. Well, the town people grew anxious, whispering, "Why isn't he fixing it? The hole is getting bigger." Finally, on the 8th day, the weaver began to work. He didn't just patch the hole. He used a new, stronger thread that matched the original intent of the first weaver. A thread that they hadn't seen because they were too busy looking at the tear. When asked why he waited, he said, "If I had started sewing when you were afraid, I would have sewn your fear into the fabric. I had to wait until I saw the pattern, not just the problem." So, what does that tell us? Step off into the fear. Step off into the faith, not the fear. Don't look at the problem. Oh, we have a hole in our community. Our senior minister is gone. Look at the possibility of what's coming next. And so, Howard Thurman says, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So you stepping forward into this void, you taking that leap of faith forward, he's asking you to come alive, to step up to bat, to step forward and say, I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm here to participate in building the next new vision of CSL Granada Hills. That's all he's talking about. Because you're relighting imagination's torch based on truth. Your truth individually and your truth collectively. Now, how is that going to manifest here? I don't have an answer for that. It's still being revealed. But there's various ways. But the thing that you're going to learn later on today is that there's a process, and the process has already begun. And so there's a search committee. That process is evolving. There you have practitioners and ministers here who are able to sit there. If you have a question, go to them, ask them. If they don't know, they'll go and find out. Your search committee is already contacted. Oh, well, actually, you and Dr. Marine have already contacted Home Office. And there's a package that comes from Home Office. And a lot of information goes into that package. So you're in the gathering of information stage. But you, as a community, are in the stage of, what do I want in a new minister? And you've already had that solicitation made to you at the beginning of the month, right? Dr. Marine handed out all those forms for you to sign. What do I want? What do I want in a new minister? What are the qualities I want? What are the various other things that I want in a new minister? So, what happens here is that we are in the process of being multiplied. You are the multiplier effect. Ernest Holmes says, a church body united in a spiritual concept can multiply its effects 1,000 times. That's what the edge of possibility is that you're standing on right now, that you've already taken that leap of faith. He also says, a single individual centered in spiritual understanding could transform a whole community. What then could a group of people do if they were all of one mind? That's what you're asked to come together to do. So, how do you do that? Well, I've coined a term, radical transparency. Radical transparency both as an individual and radical transparency as a collective. You walk forward and go, I want A, B, C, and D. You know, however specific it is or however amorphous it is. You all know what you want in a new minister. You're just taking the time in this conscious pause to come together as a collective and reach that collective decision. Because that goes into the package that goes to home office. You all want to hang around at 11:30, I'll be doing the overview. I've done it like 3 times already. But there is a process involved. So, I might be a little bit ahead of myself. So we'll go back. I did get ahead of myself. So, what are we doing? You're holding up a mirror. And you're all standing in front of the mirror. Do you remember what happened at the end of last year when you did the burning bowl? And you went to the mirror, and you wrote down your word, and you dropped it in the burning bowl, and then you went over there and you looked at yourself and sort of claimed whatever you were claiming for yourself? That's what you're doing as a collective. That's what you're doing as a community. Again, you're on the edge of the possible, because anything is possible. And you get to step forward and lovingly embrace all the qualities that you want to attract to yourself. It's what you were talking about, the law of attraction. That's what's happening. It's already working for you all. You know, you spoke of your exes. God, I don't even want to think about all my exes, but there were quite a few. But luckily I did find the right one. And, but it's like, be rigorous in your evaluation. Be rigorous in what you are going inside to find out. You know, you listed all those things. I thought the interesting thing was that the one quality that everybody liked was they want a sense of humor in their next minister. You want somebody who's fun, right? Yes. You want somebody who's going to bring joy and laughter and happiness to you. What a great quality. And there's probably a whole bunch of other qualities there. And so, however this process, because that's all you're doing. You're just putting a process, a pathway, A meets A plus B equals C. I was terrible at math and really bad at algebra. So anyway, that's all you're doing. You're just working the process. So just work the process. Trust the process. TTP. If you have a question, just think TTP, which means you got it. So here's your homework. Your affirmation. I'm in ministerial school, so I have to give homework, right? So, I am a co-creator of a world not yet imagined. How does that feel? How does that bubble up inside you? What emotions are there for you to grab a hold of? Again, y'all want to repeat it with me? I am a co-creator of a world not yet imagined. So do this, if you're doing your spiritual practice on a daily basis, whatever you're doing, work this into your affirmation. I do affirmations all the time. It was drilled into me. But what is mine to do in this situation? And just listen. You don't have to go into action. You need to listen first. That's what this pause is. I'm done. So why don't we take this into prayer? Okay? So know with me right here, right now, that there's only one power, one presence, one beingness that surrounds us, that fills us, that embraces us, that moves us forward into a greater expression. And I know that as I am that living embodiment of that expression, that divine creative spark, I know that everybody gathered here and who watches afterwards is also the embodiment of that living spirit, that loving spirit, that glorious light that we get to shine out into the world at all times. And I know that as we are standing on the edge, on one side of the bridge, and as we move forward across the bridge into our new expression as CSL Granada Hills, I know that it is a glorious journey that we all get to hold hands and walk across that bridge. Knowing that a bigger, greater expression of who we are, not only individually, but as a collective community of love, of joy, of beauty, of grace, continues and grows and expands and becomes a beacon, not only for our surrounding Granada Hills, but for the entire valley and all of Los Angeles and all of California and all of the US and all over the world. We get to spread that love. By that each individual step that we take, we express that love, that joy, that happiness. And I just know that that fills us all up with a sense of duty and compassion and joy that we get to give to the world. And so there's no fear. There's no dread. That's all transitory. We just get to tie back into that still small voice that resides within us, knowing that that's the truth for us and the greater truth for everyone else. And I just declare this good because I know that good multiplies on good. And so with a grateful heart, I just release this into the action of law, knowing that it's whole, complete, done, perfect, and nothing is withheld. And so please join me by saying, and so it is. Thank you.